online. Sweet. So we are now going to talk about rates and ratios and all kinds of fun things. So guys, before we dive into talking about rates and ratios, tell me what you know. What do we know about rates and or ratios? Like when have we maybe potentially seen a rate out in the world? Like when I go home, and some of you might know this, when I go home, I drive on Smoky Row, and there are churches on Smoky Row. There's almost always a police officer sitting in that parking lot with a little sensor checking what? What are police officers often checking as cars drive by?
How fast the car's going.
How fast the car is going. That is a rate, right? Because when we talk about how fast the car is going, how do we say that? Like, so Aiden, if you were going to talk about how fast a car is going, how would you talk about that? What label would you use? You'd say, oh, that car is going 25.
Miles per hour.
Yeah, miles per hour. So guys, on your paper, please write the word rate. And we should underline it because it's a vocab word. A rate is really just a comparison between, or I guess you could say comparison of, it's a comparison between two values. Now, where we normally use rates is something called a unit rate. Anyone ever seen the word unit rate before to be able to talk about? Miles per hour is a unit rate. So, for example, up here for rate, I'm going to say if you drive 60 miles in 2 hours, that's a rate. If I drove 60 miles in 2 hours, that's a rate. But a unit rate is where one of the values is 1. Because this is not speed. 60 miles in 2 hours, that's not speed. That's a rate, but it's not speed. If we had 60 miles in 2 hours, how do we get this to speed? Aiden, you said speed is miles per... Miles per 1 hour, right? So hours, we should have 1 hour on bottom. How do I turn 2 into a 1? Yeah, divide by 2, right? So if we divide by 2, this becomes 30 miles. So 30 miles per hour would be the unit rate that vehicle is traveling. So a rate just compares two values, but a unit rate wants us to take it down to per 1 of something. Do those definitions make sense? Now we're going to solve one problem, kind of complicated, and then I'm going to show you that you never have to do that ever again. Okay? So I'm going to show you the complicated way. Then I'm going to show you how you never have to do that ever again. The first thing we want to do when we're approaching a rate problem is look at what it's asking us for. So the rate it wants, so I'm going to draw a squiggly. Emmanuel. Oh, this is very appropriate for Christmas. Emmanuel. I forget. Man, I'm trying to think of the Christmas album that just my parents probably always had on. Emmanuel was charged $32. Wait, Grace, do you know?
You're muted. Grace, we can't hear you.
Three weeks. Yeah. So 3 weeks ago was a little early for me for holiday music, but I'm down with holiday music now. It's time for holiday music. So real quick, 'cause I gotta get you guys out of here soon. Emmanuel was charged $32 for a 14 2/9 kilometer taxi ride. This is a rate. What they gave you is a rate. $32 compared to 14 2/9 is a rate. But guys, when they ask us, so what do they ask? They ask for kilometers. No, they don't. They ask for dollars per kilometer. Now this per is as important of a word as of. I would make a little notes box. Per tells us to, like percent. What does per tell us to do? Percent tells us to what by 100? Divide. Per tells us divide. So when it tells us dollars per kilometer, this per tells us everything we have to do essentially. We need to take the dollar amount and divide by the kilometer amount. So we set up dollars divided by kilometers. So $32 divided by, well, no, crap. 14 2/9. If you know how to type that in your calculator, good for you. I don't really, so I'm going to need to make it like an improper fraction, actually. So I'm going to make improper fraction and say, okay, 14 times 9, add the 2 in the numerator. So 128. This is actually 128 ninths if we want to make it improper. Now guys, here's where I'm going to show you what is complicated and actually happening. What's actually happening here, please watch and then you can write it down if you would like to, is this is 32 divided by 128 over 9, right? 32 divided by 128 over 9. Well, when we have division by a fraction, we know we actually want to keep, change, flip. And the math that is actually going to happen, we're going to let our calculator do all of this for us though, is 32, and we can put it over 1 if we want, times 9 over 128. Now, again, we don't have to do this. Our calculator is going to do it for us. What we type into our calculator, we just need to be careful about. So here's what I'm telling you. If I type, watch, please just watch my screen. If I type 32 divided by 128 divided by 9, compared to 32 divided by parentheses, 128 divided by 9, parentheses. They're two different answers. This is where I want you to be really careful thinking about what's actually happening. It's not 32 divided by 128 and then divided by 9. The 128 divided by 9 are together in the denominator. Or, another way we could get the same answer is 14 and 2/9. Well, if I make another box off to the side, we know something about division by 9. What does division by 9 do? This will become, in decimal form, 14.2 over 9. What's 2 over 9 become? I'll give it to you. It's that repeating 2. So if you have anything over 9, so guys, I could also type in 32 divided by 14. Now, we talked about you can't actually use a repeating decimal, but you can put a bunch of them in there. Guys, that's enough repeating decimals. We get the same answer. Either way, if we put this in our calculator correctly, our answer comes out to be 2.25, and that is dollars per 1 kilometer. When we let our calculator do the work, it is going to spit out a unit rate. Okay, we're going to do one more of these just so that it's in the recording, and because I have a couple more minutes, I really look at 50 being my cutoff for class. So let's check this out. Enter the number of cups of pineapple juice used for 1 cup of orange juice. So guys, we might want to go back up to our unit rate definition and add one little thing to it. The unit rate definition we wrote down is rate is where one value is 1. Unit rate is a rate where one value is 1. What we want to add there is the denominator is the 1. So like we just solved 225 over 1 kilometer, unit rates have the denominator being 1. So when they set up in this problem, how many cups of pineapple juice for 1 cup of orange juice? They want some amount of pineapple over 1 orange, right? They tell us, now this is cups, right? But I'm labeling pineapple and orange because they're both in cups. So we need to get 1 on bottom. It's not what we have right now. How many cups of pineapple juice do they give us? What do they tell us? How much pineapple juice? Sully, you look bored. How much pineapple juice? Anybody? How much pineapple juice? 2/3. So 2/3 is going to go on top. How much orange juice?
1/3.
1/3. Now, I might be able to do this without a calculator. Because how could I turn 1/3 into a 1?
Divide.
Not divide. We want to make it bigger, right? So instead of divide, we multiply by what? How many thirds does it take to make a 1? 3. Now, we could just type this in our calculator. If we multiply by 3, we get 6 over 3. Guys, or using parentheses, 2/3, divided by 1/3. If we let our calculator do the work, 2. And lo and behold, what is 6 over 3? 2 over 1. Now we need to give it a label. That is 2 cups of which juice? Pineapple over, what'd they say we want 1 cup of? 1,
Orange.
yeah, 1 cup of orange juice. So that is our time, right? That puts us over time. Adam, if you've gotten things squared away, just hang out. Adam, if you've gotten your computer squared away, just hang out. We can chat real quick and let you know how to catch up on the things you missed. But guys, we will pick this up next week, talking about rates and unit rates. This is going to be the new homework that gets assigned today. So don't feel like you need to go ahead and do it. I'm just going to post it so you guys have access to it. We're going to keep learning about this when we get together on Monday. So everybody else, you can go ahead and hop out of here. I'm going to see what tech issues are messing with Adam to try to fix things before, like, later. But have a great day. You guys rock.